Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Happy Wednesday. I had to look because I never know what day it is anymore.
I have no idea what day it is. I'm very confused.
This is fake week. The week between Christmas and New Year's is fake week. Nothing actually happens. We all just kind of sit around in a daze. Waiting for,
and yet we're still here.
We're still here.
5 days a week. So.
You know what, though? We work in the toy department, as I like to say, and we're not working a jackhammer or changing the diapers of the elderly and the sick.
One of the guys working in the sewers taking up all the parking on Racine now.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I saw that. I hope that's a short-term problem and not a long-term problem.
Yeah.
I saw that,
One
like
day
the
only.
sign, the arrow, the giant arrow flashing. I'm like, that's more of a permanent situation.
And really, our only concern is available parking.
Yeah.
Oh,
Those guys
correct.
are in
It's
the
only
sewage,
about
though.
us. We don't care about the sewage.
Yeah.
I mean, the sink over here does smell a little off, but I don't really care as long as I can park.
Maybe we'll get a visit from our friend in the chat.
Blame him. He must be in the area. Anyway, thanks for joining us. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Make sure you smash that like button. And have we hit 23,000 yet? Did we get there?
Yeah, be close.
I don't think yet.
Ooh.
We're closing in.
All right,
So
let's
please
everybody subscribe to the YouTube page.
Yes.
Even if you're a podcast listener, jump onto YouTube, go find the CHGO Sports page. It's not hard to find. Hit that subscribe button for us. That would be a huge New Year's
23K
nice
for 2023.
That's beautiful. I love it.
Perfect way to start the
love
new
it.
year.
So, yeah, do that. If you're also on the podcast app, make sure you're following us and you're subscribed and all those wonderful things. We appreciate you being with us. So, here we are in the midst of the round robin of the World Junior Championships. The Hawks are mired in year one of the rebuild. They've lost 17 of 19, and it's not going to really get much better. So we're going to take a little Blackhawks reprieve, at least the NHL Blackhawks reprieve, and we're going to reflect a little bit and dream a little bit about what could be.
I feel lighter. I feel lighter.
Yeah, really.
Better.
Feels good.
Yes.
Feels good to not talk about the Blackhawks for an hour.
Well, let's talk about some potential future Blackhawks. And if you've been watching the World Junior Championships, good for you. Every game is broadcast on NHL Network, so it's right there for you.
And the various TSN channels up in Canada. I know we have some Canadian viewers as well.
TSN 108.
Yeah, TSN, by the way, geo-locked content. Great strategy for us American hockey fans. Love that. Grow the game. But yeah, you can watch it up there in Canada.
Right, because it makes it difficult if you don't actually have a TV to stream a game.
Yes.
In the States. Because there's no streaming app that I know of that, if you don't have access to your TV that is subscribed to the NHL network, not sure else how you can watch it.
Yeah.
I don't know if, I thought maybe ESPN Plus will stream them. It doesn't. Nope, not a thing.
It's got to be a rights thing.
It's a right
because the NHL has no dictation over that.
But TSN and ESPN are like allies, aren't they? Isn't TSN like Canadian ESPN?
Yeah.
Basically.
So why not just with the
Sports Centra?
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
exactly.
Sports
They even got
Centre.
the letters are even in the same font.
Yeah, it's
So I don't know
it's
why
the same
you can't
thing.
just
I don't know.
stream only on ESPN Plus.
I think it's a US rights deal is probably with the NHL network, so it can't go on ESPN
Well, they need to change
in the
that deal because
States.
the NHL network is less than optional.
Yeah, you would think it'd be in the best interest to get the thing out to a broader audience.
Not everybody has the NHL network, and there's so many people that don't watch cable satellite TV, so there's no way to stream. It's not like NHL network has a streaming app or
Right.
NHL.com
think
streams.
Maybe do that.
Yeah, like especially for something like this, and like, and all they do otherwise, except for Team USA, is just simulcast the TSN games.
Right.
And then they
Right.
have Dave Starman in the studio doing his American Pierre Maguire shtick. And I'm not a fan of broadcasters in the studio.
No,
Like I understood,
it's in Halifax. It's not like it's overseas.
Right, I understood when it was COVID and you needed to do it, but
Yeah.
like it's got to be a difficult job for those guys
No, it
sitting
sucks.
at NHL Network studio calling a game.
Off a TV. Yeah, it's not easy to do hockey.
No, it's bad, and like I know Dave Starman isn't for everybody, But like overall, I think he does a really good job.
Yeah.
He's great at knowing college guys, and as I say, he's American Pierre Maguire. He knows everybody that's ever played college
does
hockey.
all the NCAA.
And that's the time to know it.
Yeah.
Right. So like I appreciate his input for this, but like I wish it was just in a better situation.
Yeah. Well, if it wasn't for NHL Network, I wouldn't know anything about Camp Lejeune.
They're all over my email
Yeah.
now.
And mesothelioma.
So thank you.
And I
NHL
do know
Network,
where to
for
get
that.
adult diapers discreetly emailed to my house.
Perfect.
I mean, all you need to know.
Only the highest end commercials.
I mean,
on NHL Network.
all you need to know is how great a network is doing is by the quality of the advertisements.
Yes.
And all it is not an attorney spokesman's commercials.
Yeah.
And like catheter commercials.
Hey, they don't have. You know what? They've got Camp Lejeune. We've got Shady Rays. We win.
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
I would
That's it.
much
Like,
rather
right.
have sunglasses than.
And the commercial for the guy that the sick grandpa because he doesn't clean his sleep apnea machine well enough.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I miss you, Grandma.
You gotta.
You gross woman that can't clean her equipment.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know that's why you tuned in, so we can bag on NHL Network and make fun of the commercials and everything, which is fun. It's all in good fun. But the reason that we're all watching, and I think you're all watching the World Junior Championships, is to get eyes on Connor McDavid and Adam Fantilli.
Connor Bedard.
And what?
Connor Bedard.
Yeah, he's not
What did I
Connor
say?
McDavid yet.
You said McDavid.
Did I say McDavid?
Yeah.
Connor Bedard and
Soon
Adam
to be
Fantilli.
second
It's
best
pretty-
Connor
yeah.
in the NHL.
Yeah, right.
That's
You
pretty
want to
similar.
watch those guys, and despite their Game 1 loss to Czechia, who is a steamroller apparently,
Look
you
out.
saw those moments from those two dudes in that game, especially Bedard, who scored, assisted by Kevin Korchinski, who we're going to get to later in the show. Man, we've heard about it from Cam Robinson. We heard about it from Chris Peters. We heard about it from everybody. The Connor Bedard's release, his
shot.
Until you see it in the course of a game, you can see all the like warm up videos you want, all the things like pregame, that sort of stuff. When you see him unleash that release in the course of live action, it's really incredible. And Austin Matthews as a comparison, fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. There have been so many people who have been watching Bedard for as he's gone up into this last season, into his draft year this year, and just use the Matthews comparison. And there have been a few people that have said, if Bedard was in the NHL right now, he'd have one of the 5 best players based on his shot and his release in the NHL. Like that is insane. Like you don't see that every year in draft eligible prospects. There's not a guy every year that you're like, if he was in the NHL now, he would be one of the best shooters. You don't see that. And so that's one of the factors that makes Bedard such a special player to watch. And yeah, like the first game didn't go Canada's way.
It's too bad.
But we just had the World Cup happening in Qatar, and Argentina's first game, they got toasted by Saudi Arabia, and I believe they won the World Cup.
Yeah.
For our soccer fans out there, so
Some guy,
opening
Leonardo Messi.
DiCaprio?
yeah.
McDavid?
The Ninja
Yeah.
Turtle?
So yeah, I mean, dropping the first game of a tournament is not is not a death sentence. They have to come back strong tonight against Germany, and you want to see. I think for Canada and for Bedard and Fantilli, I think what they did against Czechia was kind of come out thinking that they could just step on the ice and be the better team.
Yeah.
It was a wake-up
I mean, you
call.
get 2 Michigan attempts in the same period?
Almost the
they're-
same shift. Yeah.
But in a 0-0 game.
Right.
It's like, all right, get that out of your system.
Yeah.
Get over yourselves and play some hockey.
Yeah.
Right.
So tonight might be a game where we see a more focused Canadian team, and they might
I
put a
also
big
think,
number up on Germany.
Aside from probably the assumption that they were just going to walk all over Czechia, which it seems like, especially in younger tournaments, that seems to catch a team every year. Early in
yeah.
the round robin, they're like, oh, yeah, we got to actually play against these guys. You're also seeing guys who are, yes, they've played together before, but they're all coming from their junior team to gather for this tournament. Yeah, they have a couple preliminary games that are played at like 60, 70% effort.
Yep.
But the round robin is kind of to work that whole thing out and get these guys playing and firing on all cylinders. And Canada was definitely not in that first game. They were they're trying to be too cute, which is what we saw from Dynasty Blackhawks forever when they would struggle. You did see them sort of assume victory while the less talented roster-wise Czechia team just kept the game simple. And that's why Luke Richardson, oh, God, can we talk a little bit about the Hawks?
Sure.
We make the parallel.
This
When
is
you
a
have
Blackhawks
less
podcast.
It's
talent,
allowed. It is a Blackhawks
you have
show.
to simplify the game to stand a chance. Czechia did it. And, yeah, like you look at the final stats, the shots on goal, the possession, all that stuff was vastly in favor of Canada, but they held on.
Well, Czechia's a legit team.
No
they're,
doubt.
They're no joke. You got to remember, in August, the last tournament, the reboot, they're the team that knocked USA out of the quarterfinals. They upset them. When you saw them play against Canada, they were the better team. They played better as a team. They play stingy defense. They've got maybe some of the best goaltending in the entire tournament.
Yep.
Canada's goaltending was an issue. People were worried about that heading into the game, into the tournament, saying that was their weakness. But don't worry, we're going to be able to score 9 goals a game, and it's okay. Well, oops, you didn't score 9 goals. You gave
Right.
up 5 to a team that maybe is pretty good offensively because they beat the crap out of Austria last night, 9-0, where they actually scored more goals than they allowed shots on goal. Austria gave up 9 goals and only had 8 shots on goal. That's.
I believe their goalie also had 2 assists in the game.
3 assists, I think it was. Yeah, 3 assists from the goalie. So hey, that's the kind of guy that Luke Richardson likes. Maybe we'll be drafting him in the 7th round. We saw Peter Mrazek listening to that last night, saying maybe I need to be more aggressive. No, you stay where you stay there. So the Czech team was a team. They were 18 guys playing together, playing within their system, not trying to do anything. Where Canada, on paper, so much more talent, but it was 18 individuals out there trying to look at me, look at the hot shit I am, and meanwhile, there's Czechia going, okay, you do your fancy little tricks, and then we're just going to score dirty, greasy goals and make you cry at the end of the night because you lost.
Yeah.
And by the way, speaking of the Michigan shots, I'm not anti-Michigan shot. There's a time and a place for everything, but should it not be a high sticking penalty if you attempt a Michigan shot and hit the goalie in the face with your stick like Adam Fantilli did?
If it's below the bar, it should be clean, right?
Well, no, if you hit him in the face.
Would it be high? So,
'Cause if you hit- 'cause-
let's say a skater, went to a knee to block a shot, right? And another skater's stick hit him in the face. Would that be high sticking? I don't think so.
Yeah, if it hits you in the face.
But if the stick's under control,
If it's incidental contact, then I
because if the
think
guy went down, your stick's not high.
if it's incidental contact, if you hit him in the face but he's down, like you just skate past him and it goes by, I think that's maybe a judgment call on the ref. But even a follow through on a shot, which the lacrosse goal attempt is, and you hit him in the face, I would think that would be a penalty. Just because it's a goalie with a full cage that they let it go. I'm not sure.
Fantilli's shot.
Right.
Bedard's was actually blocked. The defenseman saw it coming and got his stick and knocked his stick down. But the Fantilli shot, he whacked the goalie right in the face. And it's like, how is that not a penalty?
Here's the
Especially
USA.
in the double IHF. If you even look at a guy in the face, they're going to kick you out
Right.
of the
They
game.
police headshots
Right.
a lot.
They're far stricter. And I thought, I thought that should have been a penalty.
So here's a rule from USA Hockey. High sticking is the action where a player carries a stick above the normal height of the opponent's shoulders and makes contact with the opponent. So
Last time I
think
checked, the head's above the shoulders.
right, but the normal height of the shoulders.
I mean, it was probably like right here to do a Michigan. I don't know. I think it should have been a
Well, if
penalty.
the goalie
but
is down in their crease, I don't know. Call the rule book. That'll be my answer to it.
Yeah.
And
What if a guy
if it is a
dives
head check-
head first and puts his arms to his side and just like a rocket and just knocks the puck off a stick carrier?
Then he should be
The
playing
high
soccer.
sticking because his face is on the ground. Let's find this out.
it's
Let's get our
torpedoing.
crack research team on this right now
Yes.
and find out because it's very important. No, I know what you're saying,
Yeah.
but my interpretation would be: look, if the player is lower than my shoulders, my stick below my shoulder is a reasonable height in pretty much all incidents.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. Who cares?
Don't hit people in the face. I think that's a simple strategy. And yeah, like the argument made a lot of times by people who are goalies against that play is for that fact, is because you're getting sticks right in your face, sticks, and you want to avoid any kind of contact like that, to avoid eye injury, facial injuries, potential concussions and everything like that. So there is, I love the creativity that that kind of goal brings, that kind of shot attempt brings. There's a lot of creativity you can do with even setting up that play. Look at what Trevor Zegras did. Was that last season?
Yep.
Faking it and flipping the puck over the goal. There was a great goal by Penn State's women's hockey team recently that I saw, where had the puck behind the net, did the stick motions. Someone else came back behind the other way, easy wraparound, because they're all thinking that it's coming wrapping up. So I love the creativity that kind of play can bring, but I think if you just let it go because it's cool, without any kind of ruling on high sticking or anything like that towards the goaltender interference, like anything like that, since that's so open for interpretation, I think there needs to be some sort of policing on that.
That's fair. I agree with that, because you are putting your stick in the face of the goalie.
Yeah, because the goalie is even though he's got all the padding, still vulnerable to shot follow throughs and everything like that. Like we
saw it to Darcy Kemper last year in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Right,
got a stick in the eye, even through the cage.
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
Yeah. So I wonder, the other thing to compare it to is if you're trying to screen the goalie. You're standing in front of him and you turn to your left. I'm left-handed, so to my left, to your right if you're right-handed, and your stick blade hits him in the face.
It's interference.
Right.
It should be, at least.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting. I don't know, but it was just funny regardless of how they rule it or choose to rule it. Some of the clapback that those guys were getting for doing it, and I think there is some validity to it, but Greg, you said there's a time and a place for it. 0-0 in a round robin, maybe. If you think you can pull it off, and it had not been for the son of Blackhawks legend Yaroslav Spacek defending that shot, it probably would have been a goal. But I think after a loss, especially a team with a fan base like Canada and with expectations like Canada, people are going to be pissed regardless, and are looking for things to be mad about, as opposed to saying it's game one of a round robin. They're going to be fine. Does anyone think Canada's not going to be fine after that loss?
I think there's some Canadian fans that probably don't think that they're going to be fine, but I look at the roster up and down, and I say, look, like, they will be fine.
They should be fine. They're going to have a tough game against Sweden before the preliminary round. They'll have Austria and Germany. Those are easy wins.
T's and P's.
And then they'll have Sweden. That was probably the game that everybody circled to be like, that's who's going to win the group. Yeah. And now they're already won. But one interesting stat, one of my favorites, hockey writers of all time, Bob McKenzie, said yesterday on the TSN broadcast that in every tournament where Canada has lost their opening round robin tournament, I think it's happened 3 or 4 times, they've never medaled when they've lost the first game of round robin.
Interesting.
I'm not saying that's going to happen. This team is way too talented, but again, they got to start buying into playing a team game, and their goaltending is a little And in a one game winner take all against a team like any team that they would face in the knockout round, you're gonna have to figure out how to score goals. And I knew the people were gonna get pissed about the Michigan stuff only because they didn't score. Had both of those guys scored in those plays, nobody would be saying
the top highlight.
It'd be the highlight of the tournament already.
Right. So
even if they win that game, they don't score those goals, but Canada wins that game. It's a non-factor.
But this is the part of the World Juniors that I hate, because every time Canada loses, like, people just overreact and act like complete idiots and say things on Twitter and social media about freaking teenagers and essentially an exhibition game. Get a life.
Yeah. If you're messaging hateful things to people because of sports or for any reason.
Oh yeah, just for any reason.
For
really.
any reason,
Yeah.
like just don't do that. Be a better person than that. It's really easy to be better than that. All you have to do is not this.
Yeah. Log off your
Just
phone.
don't
go
do that.
For a walk.
Yeah, go
if
get
you're
some
that
fresh
upset
air.
because a bunch of 17-year-old kids lost a hockey game, go for a walk.
Yeah, get some
A
fresh
really
air.
long walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go read a book.
hug a
Go listen
puppy.
to some classical music. Whatever you need to do.
Go just give your head a shake and
But I do think some criticism of those two plays is valid where,
Sure.
like, hey, you're behind the net. You're Connor Bedard. You're on this amazingly talented team. Maybe find a higher percentage scoring chance there in a tying game. Because if they score they get a couple goals early and they make it 2-3 nothing or 3-1, that game they could probably put it on cruise control from there. But instead, it didn't go their way.
Yeah. Regardless of outcome, regardless of fan feedback, regardless of all that stuff, you could see that those two, especially Bedard, obviously, they're just a different level
Yeah.
from everybody else on the ice. And what Fantilli had a really nice rush where he was sort of hip checked into a cartwheel, which I was sort of surprised wasn't a penalty, considering how they're calling everything. I know it's like the contact to the head is like a zero tolerance sort of a thing. But I don't know. It was just dazzling, even though it didn't work, right? Like he just stick handles through traffic. He shows that speed, and can't turn it into a goal. But Bedard too, just making something out of nothing every shift.
yeah.
And that's like McDavid, where I still think back to that bubble series, which the Hawks somehow won. Every time that guy was on the ice, you were scared because every time he was on the ice, something was going to happen.
Yeah.
And in one game, we've seen that from Connor Bedard in this tournament.
Yeah, but you don't want Connor McDavid on your playoff team, though.
No, some people
of course
don't.
not.
Yeah, I mean, and the funny thing too is McDavid and Bedard, both Connors, are both considered. When McDavid was coming through his draft year, the narrative was franchise-changing, generational player. The narrative around Bedard is, franchise-changing, like very, very special player. And the funny thing is that they're very different in the way that they're looked at as those types of players. McDavid was just so physically gifted and still is with just speed and creativity and flash and just being able to just to skate better than anybody else that's going to be on the ice with him, and use that to his advantage, and then be able to have a great shot, amazing hands, and the whole package offensively. With Bedard, his speed is not he's not going to skate around everybody, but it's the creativity that he has and the shot that he has. Two things that I think were on full display in the first game for Canada. You saw it in the exhibition games. If you've been paying attention to him in the WHL this season, it has just been on display every single night. Just the specialness that he has, and Fantilli could have had a better game, but there were some moments where he stood out. It's still on a very stacked Canadian team. Those two kids are head and shoulders above the rest of them, and that's why, if you're not on board yet for getting excited about the 2023 draft as a Blackhawks fan, you got to get on board, because those two guys are special, and to see them at this stage is very special. So pay attention to them.
Just checking in on Connor Bedard's WHL stats: 28 games, 27 goals, 37 assists. If you're not good at math, that's 64 points.
And I'm
in
pretty
28 games.
sure he
almost
is
3
still
points a game.
active. His point streak is still active because he got called up to Canada, which he was left off the score sheet in the first game of the season. So what did you say, 28 games he's played?
28,
So
yep.
27 game point streak.
That's pretty good.
Averaging essentially 3 points a night.
It's insane.
We got a question in the chat from...
That's 17.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, he'll turn 18 later this year.
Christian says, would Bedard go straight to the NHL
Yes.
when drafted? Yes. If you missed
Opening night lineup.
last week's show with Chris Peters, again, I don't know what day that was, but easy
Thursday.
to find.
Those last
Thursday.
Last Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah. Go check that out. Really good stuff on previewing the tournament, which is all still valid because it's a round robin, and talked a lot about Bedard and Fantilli specifically.
Yeah.
And then there was another question about trading Patrick Kane in the chat. There it is from Paul. If the Hawks can get a first-round pick for Kane, what do you think it would take to trade up for a second top 5 pick in the draft, Bedard Fantilli, and take a risk on Michkov at 4 or 5? I don't think the Hawks have the pieces to make that happen.
No.
No, I mean,
It would require trading Patrick Kane for at least a first-round pick to a team that then somehow catastrophized out of a playoff chase and into the lottery, and then their lottery ball pops up.
Well, unless you were to trade, like, let's say you trade Kane to a playoff team somewhere in, like, the 20s, and then you take that and the Tampa pick. Is that enough to trade up to 5? I don't think
not.
so.
Oh, no.
You would probably have to trade one of those 2024 picks, too.
Yeah.
So you're talking 3 first-round picks to move up to take a guy that
Might not be
may
here
or
for
may
5
not
years.
be here. No, I wouldn't
Forever.
do it. Yeah, I mean, if something funky happens and like you somehow, that second pick is somehow, he keeps falling and falling and falling and falling because he's been hurt most of this season, too.
Yeah.
And then
Michkov, that is.
Yeah, Michkov.
Yeah.
And then, like, he basically, when he got healthy, was on a KHL team that refused to play him, essentially. So he's had a very weird, wacky season. I don't think he's going 3, no matter who's there. I think he's going to fall a little bit. And, maybe it's a weird situation where he falls and the Hawks are picking somewhere around 16, 17. I don't know if he'll fall that far, but maybe he'll be available at like 8 or 9 where you can then take one of those picks and package it to move up to there to grab him. But I wouldn't go all crazy and then for the 4th or 5th pick to get him.
Yeah, I would also let's remember too that like Bedard and Fantilli would be great if it falls that way. But you also need way more than just those two. Even if you get, let's fantasize and say they get Bedard and Michkov, which is super unlikely. But like even those two are not. At some point, you kind of need numbers. And remember, really good players can be taken later in a draft. Yeah. Alex DeBrincat was a 2nd-round pick. Duncan Keith was a 2nd-round pick. We were just talking about Mikko Rantanen, who was just tearing it up for the Avalanche, keeping them afloat through all of their injuries. He was a 10 overall. So you can find guys. It doesn't always have to be just top 5, top 7 to find great players.
And if we're getting Bedard or Fantilli, there's no reason to sell super high to get another top 5 guy at this point.
Now the question is, if they fall out of 1 or 2, can they find a way to get there? Like, let's say they've got 4 or 3, 4, or 5. Is that and a Tampa pick enough to move up to 2? I don't know. I think most teams are going to say no. It's
don't think
1 and 2, and then it's everybody else.
Yeah, I think if the Blackhawks don't have one of the top 3 picks, which I don't know how that's not going to happen given the way that the draft lottery rules are and the way the season is going, but if they have, let's say, 4th and 21st with Tampa's pick, right? I don't think you're going to talk the teams that land 1 and 2 out of picking 1 or 2. I think those 2 players at the top of this draft class are almost untouchable as far as where you land in the draft lottery.
Yeah.
I think if you want to try and mix it up and say, here's 4 and 21, we want to go to 3 and get Leo Carlson or something, if you're really sold on him, you could do. I think a team could be talked into that.
Well, just think, like, if you're the Hawks and you've got 2, and someone comes to you with 4 and 21, are you taking it?
No.
I think that unless you're going to either of those teams and say, here is established young superstar and our 1st-round pick and extra, then you might have something, but no team's going to do that.
And the Hawks don't have an established young superstar.
They do not.
No, not at all.
Not until Kevin Korchinski gets here.
Speaking of, he is a name that is popping up in the chat. What are you looking for? This is from Mike here. What are you looking for in Kevin Korchinski this tournament? Points, plus minus, average minutes. Plus minus is a made-up stat. It's imaginary. It doesn't really matter all that much. He's basically playing 3rd-line power play specialist role with this Canadian team. I think the biggest thing that I want to see for him is how he looks defensively,
Yeah.
because the offensive side of his game is very well ahead of his ability in his own zone. And we've talked with Chris Peters, with Cam Robinson, about Korchinski, and the consensus seems to be that if he was able to just focus on the offensive side of his game, he would probably be able to survive in the NHL right now. But he has to be a more complete player for him to be A, serviceable, and B, ready to jump in for the Blackhawks. So I would like to see his defensive game, see how he looks. If he's getting sheltered and just playing on the power play, that's just how Canada is going to use him, and there's not much you can do about that. But in his 5-on-5 defending, I think is something that I'm gonna focus on, because I think the offense and the power play abilities will shine through eventually through the tournament. So focusing on what he needs to improve, if there are some improvements that we can see in this tournament, that would be really good to see.
Why don't we do this? We're a little behind on our ad breaks. Why don't we tell our friends about ComEd and Game Time, and then we're going to get into the Blackhawks prospects that are currently playing in the tournament.
Sure. ComEd. They
Yeah.
want to save you money and energy. And to do that, they've created the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, which is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities that they serve manage energy usage and lower energy bills now and into the future. ComEd offers a wide array of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across their territory. Customers can inquire about how to upgrade outdated lighting to energy and money-saving efficient LED lights, learn more about network lighting to operate your lights through your mobile device, and track your facility's energy usage, and more. Incentives have recently increased for indoor, outdoor lighting, and networked lighting controls, making these projects even more cost-effective than before. So visit ComEd.com/poweringbiz, I can read today, to start saving money and energy. To start a project, you can call them at 855-433-2700. You can email them as well, businessee@comed.com or publicsectoree@comed.com.
And if you like going to see sporting events or concerts, and hell, who doesn't? Game Time is the place for you. They are the hottest new ticketing site, and they make it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. If you ever dreamed of sitting in a seat you never dreamed of before, 50-yard line, courtside, behind home plate, floor seats at a concert, how about against the glass at a Hawks game? It is possible with the Game Time app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on the seats you thought you could never buy. You will not find a better deal this season on Blackhawks tickets. It's created by fans, for fans, and they guarantee the lowest price. So if you find a better deal on another ticketing site, reach out to our friends at Game Time, and they will beat the deal. That is the Game Time guarantee. And if you love CHGO, then you will love Game Time. The best way to support us is to buy your tickets through the link in our podcast descriptions there on YouTube or in your podcast app. Expand those descriptions and click that Game Time link. That's how you help us out. Join over 15 million people who have downloaded the Game Time app and score the best seats to all of your favorite events. And speaking of CHGO, make sure you become a diehard today. You save 20% on merch, on events, on takeovers. You get a free shirt or hat on sign up and every year upon renewal. And pretty soon we should have an announcement about our takeover. Our Hawks game takeover.
Oh, we're gonna
can't
take
share
over
the
the
details
UC.
yet, but it's coming. And we'll have plenty of time for you to get your tickets and join us and plan for all of that. But it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful time. And you see our buddy Lawrence is rocking the legendary 81 design. I got mine right before Christmas, which was perfect timing. Looks great. Super comfortable shirts, all of them. So get those at CHGO Locker. And again, if you're a diehard, you save 20% on everything in the CHGO Locker. That is a great, great deal. One more question about Fantilli. I think it was our friend Bihan up a little bit earlier in the chat saying, do you think Fantilli goes back to Michigan for a second year, or do you see him in the NHL from day one like Bedard? Chris Peters seemed to think there was a chance he goes back to Michigan for another year.
Matty Beniers did.
Yeah.
Owen Power did.
Look,
I think Owen Power just wanted to limit the time he had to spend in Buffalo.
Yeah, true.
Hard to argue that. But
But as Hawks fans, if Fantilli is the pick, it's going to be really hard for him to not be here for us. But if we know anything about Kyle Davidson, and I think what we know about him is pretty limited so far, he is patient with prospects. He's not going to rush anybody. He's going to take his time. And, I think that's – it would not shock me if the Hawks land Fantilli if he goes back to Michigan. And if he's not going to play in Chicago – he might. Where else would he start, right? If there's a team ready for him to be the guy at Chicago.
Yeah.
But I would not. If I was going to bet on it, I would think he goes back for another year.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of comes down to, like you said, like which team would be ready to have him come in. And I think if Chicago lands number 2 and they land Adam Fantilli, I would have zero problems if he was a day one NHL guy, just because I think there's opportunity for him to grow at the NHL level. I think he's a guy that's a lot different than Kirby Dach, and I think it's a much different situation than bringing a guy like Dach right into the NHL at 18 years old. I think that was more of a surprise than if Fantilli were to jump in day one. So I wouldn't have a problem with it if he jumped in. I also wouldn't have a problem if he went back. Like the comment said, then he goes back to Michigan, has an opportunity to continue to play on a stacked college program. He's a year older, gets to work a little bit more on his development before getting to the NHL game. Gets to play with Frank Nazar, which would be a lot of fun for Blackhawks fans to watch. And then you allow him to have another year to kind of work out some kinks, and then if he steps in to the 24-25 season, steps right in as a 19, 20-year-old.
In a huge free agency summer.
Yeah, big summer. Like that could be an opportunity where other prospects that we're focusing on and talking about are coming into the fold at that time too. Like that could be the year where it's just like, here's all the kids, a lot of them are ready, let's see what they can do.
Well, the other thing too is if they draft him and he goes back to Michigan, you're talking about another year of high draft picking, very, very likely.
Well, yeah.
That's probably going to be the case anyway, even if he's here.
Yeah.
But you definitely have a shot at another top 3 pick. If he's here, you'd still probably get top 5.
You're still in the lottery, probably.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It's so hard to predict these things, and then it's obviously ultimately up to Fantilli himself or the team, but Bedard will be here in the opening night lineup if he's the pick. If it's 2 and it's Fantilli, I would say like 50-50. Yeah. I think it all depends, because going to play in college is really good for a kid like that's development. He's going to get a ton of practice time. They essentially only play like 2 games a week. They only play 36 regular season games,
about that, yeah.
Less than 40. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about playing every weekend, and then Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday is practice time. It's weight room. It's video sessions. It's learning how to be a better hockey player. Whereas if he comes to the NHL, he's got to develop on the fly while in the rigors of an 82-game season, or if they send him to Rockford for a little while, it's the same thing. There's not as much practice. There's not as much development time that you would get at the NHL level as you would playing for the University of Michigan. I mean, he would have a lot of time to get bigger, stronger, all that stuff, all that off-ice stuff, as well as learning how to be a better player on the ice. But, and I would think, as you mentioned, Davidson definitely is going to be patient. He's proven that. I don't think he's going to rush him, but if he feels Adam Fantilli is ready to be an NHL player from day one, then that's what he'll be.
Mm-hmm. Got a question here from Brady. He says, hey, guys, first time new at hockey prospecting. How good of a prospect is Connor Bedard and Adam Fantilli? Actually, once every 2 or 3 years, once every 10 years, once a generation. Help me compare to other sports. That's tough to do compared to other sports.
Yeah.
But I will say, look, like if you were to put Bedard and Fantilli side by side with like the measurables, the speed and everything, Fantilli's going to win in every category. But Bedard's release makes him such the goal scoring potential from him is so off the charts that despite all that, he's going to be the number 1 pick, barring catastrophic injury or whatever, or GM brain fart. That's how great he is in terms of scoring. Is he going to be a Patrice Bergeron, Jonathan Taves type? No. He's going to be a high-end scorer and maybe generational in that way. Whereas I think Fantilli might be the better overall player but I don't think he'll ever hit the numbers offensively that Bedard's expected to.
Yeah, I think the expectation is that a guy like Allan Fantilli is going to be more of the new age power forward, where it's the skating ability for his size is exceptional, and then he's also going to be a horse out there, be 6'3", close to 200 pounds, able to play center at the NHL level, and be a highly effective offensive player, and be capable in his own end, where he's not a liability. We talked with Cam Robinson from Elite Prospects, and when he was talking about Connor Bedard, he was saying like he's going to be like Patrick Kane, but Patrick Kane plus,
with
like having the ability to score 50 goals in the NHL for Connor Bedard is not a stretch at all, and that's an incredible thing to say about a kid who hasn't even had his 18th birthday yet. Like to be that confident in his skills is really impressive. And a lot of people who like to talk themselves out of these top end prospects, these kids who can skate incredibly, see the game incredibly, have great hands, great creativity, a great shot. A lot of times when prospects like that are less than 5'10", a lot of people love to say, well, they'll never make it in the NHL. Change your diaper. Like Patrick Kane made it in the NHL. Alex DeBrincat is making it in the NHL.
Cole Caulfield
can score friggin' goals. Like,
by the way, Theo Evan Fleury was 5'6" and played in the clutchy grabby era.
Theo Fleury
was great.
Martin St. Louis, Paul Correa, like go take a walk if you think that this day and age a player is too small to make it in the NHL. If you want to talk yourself out of Connor Bedard because he's 5'10" and 170 pounds or something, have fun with that. Like size is not going to be a factor for him. It's not going to be a hindrance for him. His skating ability is good enough that he's probably going to be able to avoid contact. He's going to be very much like Patrick Kane, very water bucket.
Higher end scorer though, goal scorer.
Yeah,
right.
But no, I'm just saying as far as the
mobility,
skating ability,
yeah.
Like Patrick Kane has, for the most part, remained durable through his entire career because you can't hit him
unless he's getting cheap shotted from behind and then breaks his collarbone.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we're able to spend more money.
Antoine
trade
Vermette.
that. Yeah. Anywho, but it's the same kind of play. Like I'm not worried about Connor Bedard getting beat up because no one's going to be able to. He's not going to take a ton of hits.
Right.
He's not going to put himself in those positions. You got to catch him to hit him, and not a lot of guys are going to be able to do that. As far as are they generational talents? I would put Bedard in the generational talent category. Mm-hmm. Corey asked a Crosby, McDavid level prospect. Not saying that he's the same type of player, but yes, at that same level prospect where like you get this guy and your franchise is on the uptick.
People have been talking about Bedard if he was in the draft last year, he would have been number one overall last year too.
Fantilli, I don't put him in the generational talent.
No,
but I put him like whatever that. I put him in a franchise player.
I think Nathan McKinnon when I think
that's
of,
exactly what I was going to say. Where it's like a guy that when the pick was made, you were kind of like, okay, yeah, I think he's pretty good, and then 5 or 6 years later, you're like, this guy is a freaking superstar.
Yeah,
like he's a franchise type player, but I wouldn't put him as like a guy that's going to revolutionize the game, rewrite the record books, anything like that. But he's definitely a guy, if you get him on your team, he's instantly better. He's instantly your top prospect, and he's a guy you can build around.
Yeah.
And in fairness, Fantilli would have been number one overall in this draft too last summer.
He probably could have been,
yeah.
He probably could have been. And that's, when we talked about, Bedard Fantilli and the comparisons and is Fantilli a consolation prize? Like, technically, yes, but he is still a number one overall quality player.
Absolutely.
And so
any
if
other
the Blackhawks
draft, he'd be number one.
Yeah, if the Blackhawks miss out on Bedard and they fall to number 2 and you get Allan Fantilli, there is still so much to be excited about.
It's like didn't we say that on the show? Would you sacrifice the opportunity to draft Bedard if it guaranteed you Fantilli.
Yeah, and I think I would do that.
Yeah.
But I still want Connor Bedard.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's a hypothetical because the reality is the Blackhawks right now have a really good chance at Connor Bedard.
Mike says, would either one of these guys have been number one pick going back to the Austin Matthews draft? Bedard, maybe. You think about like the hype level at that time, I think there'd be a conversation.
There definitely would be because
he would have had an advantage being that he was Canadian and Austin Matthews was American.
Right.
And Toronto drafting first overall.
That's true. Who had the second pick that year?
They had Winnipeg. They took Laine.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And there was. I mean, yeah. That's. I think if Bedard was in that draft class, I think the Matthews Bedard comparison would be pretty tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting thought exercise. Yeah. But I mean, look, it's could Fantilli be Matthews good?
Yeah. Why not?
Like that level of output goal wise, like 60 goals.
I don't think the way he. I think Matthews is his best attribute is his ability to score in a variety of ways. I don't know if I trust that Fantilli could be, like the term 5-tool player. As far as his goal scoring ability, I don't know if it's that dynamic. Whereas with Bedard, I think it seems to be that way. And then that was the calling card on Matthews in his draft year was just his ability to score just in any way that he could. But I mean, look, could Adam Fantilli put up 50 goals one year or one day in the NHL? Yeah, he definitely could. I don't know if he's gonna be the first player to eclipse 65 since Ovechkin or Stamkos or whoever did it that year did that. So that's just my read on it.
There are some other Blackhawks in the tournament, and I think I misspoke earlier. There's 4 Blackhawks on Team Canada, and there's Victor Schornborg on Team Sweden, so it's 5. I might have said 4, but I meant on Team Canada.
Captain of Team Sweden.
Ethan Del Mastro, Nolan Allan. We talked about Kevin Korchinski a little bit, and somebody asked me on Twitter, like, what do you want to see from those guys in this tournament? What I want to see from Korchinski is defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to see how he defends because the offensive game is pretty mature and pretty developed as far as his game goes so far. Mm-hmm. And from the other two, I want to see them on the offensive side a little bit. Can they move the puck? There was a moment in Canada's game against Czechia where Nolan Allan took the puck from the left point, circled behind the net, came out to the other side, made a nice pass, got back to his spot. So you're seeing him activate a little bit offensively. We know that Del Mastro and we know that Allan can defend. Mm-hmm. We know that Korchinski can score. So I want to see those 3 do the opposite of what they're known for, right? That's kind of what I'm looking for from those guys. But Del Mastro is really impressive. And when we saw, prospects camp, that he just had a different look to him he looks like a veteran, an NHL veteran, size-wise, and the way he moves, the way he skates, the way he sees the game. I think that's a dude who he'll be in the NHL sooner than later. And the fact that he is wearing a letter for Canada and is back after the summer tournament, after kind of being a fringe, a fringe pick for the summer tournament, and then has earned his way up. Yeah. He's been really impressive. And look, he's not going to be a guy who dazzles you and puts a ton of points on the board, but you can never have too many guys that can defend.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about, Allan and Del Mastro coming out and being those kind of players, and if Korchinski projects to what we think he's going to be, that's a pretty good. Those are 3 really good defensemen to start with.
Yep.
To start your next generation with.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think if you can, it's never a bad thing to have a guy who's big, physical, defensively sound, and every once in a while can make a play offensively, with a stretch pass or having the ability to control a breakout or anything like that. That's a guy like Ethan Del Mastro that he can do that. I think one of the biggest things for him is his physical game and not being a guy who's just going out there looking to run you over. Like there's a ton of big defensemen who just love to just run people into the boards and then they get out of position. I don't see that out of Del Mastro. I see him having a more controlled game defensively and using the physicality in more of winning board battles and being able to push guys out of the way. Now, again, 18, 19 years old. He has a physical advantage over most people in his age group. Will it translate to the professional game whenever he makes the jump? I'm encouraged that it will, but we'll have to see how it goes. The leadership part of it too. The character is a big thing that Kyle Davidson and this Blackhawks organization has really focused on since the changeover, and I think Del Mastro really is a great character person. If you've seen some of the content from Hockey Canada during the camp and the tournament, they had Del Mastro mic'd up. You see how much he interacts with his teammates, how much of a positive influence he is, and teammates have really raved about that, about how well of a communicator he is as a player, and a guy in the locker room. And he's has twice served as captain of the Mississauga Steelheads in the OHL. He's part of the leadership group with Canada. Like, I think he's a guy that a lot of fans should be excited about, because, like you said, like, I think his path to the NHL is going to be quicker than maybe even last year we thought.
Yeah, I agree, and I think Blackhawk fans should be very excited about what the future blue line looks like. I mean, we've got, you just mentioned it, Del Mastro and Allan are your stay-at-home defensive defensemen. Your Nicholas Johnson unsung hero type defensemen. What kind of language is that? Defensemen.
Defensemen's from the Jewels.
Yes, that's how we say defenseman in Chicago. Got to go with the defensemen's in the first round, my friend. And then Korchinski's that puck-moving offensive defenseman. Sam Rinzel in 3 or 4 years hits the level that they're hoping for. There's another possibly elite type of offensive defenseman. That's 5 guys right there. A guy like Isaac Phillips is that kind of in between. That guy that is big and physical and defends well, but can chip in offensively when need be.
Yep.
So there is a lot to be excited about, and we haven't even mentioned a guy like Alex Regula, Alec Vlasic,
Alec Regula,
whatever.
Alex Vlasic.
Those guys, A. Vlasic and A. Regula.
Yep.
Some pickle and
Yeah.
some other guy. Some type of
Spaghetti
lettuce.
sauce and pickle. That's what we're going to call it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Pickle and
lettuce.
sauce.
Lettuce, right?
Sure.
Right, or
Those we haven't even
vegetable.
talked
Regula?
about those guys, or Jakob
Ragu?
Galvis.
Yeah.
Who's
Jakob Galvis,
So I mean, obviously, they're not all these guys are going to be NHLers. They're not all going to be NHLers with the Blackhawks. So there's a lot to be excited about defensively, and some of those guys are just going to be currency and allow you to get
true.
things you don't have. If you've got an overabundance of really good young defensemen, and you're, say need a forward or two, or you need a goaltender, you've got currency to go out and get what you need. So looking really good on the blue line are the Hawks.
You mentioned Sam Rinzel. Little heads up. I realized this last night when someone told us on our Discord. Sam Rinzel will be in town to play the Chicago Steel on Friday, January 20th at the Fox Valley Ice Arena. I might head out to that game and see if we can get a chat with Sam Rinzel.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Why not?
He just won gold with Team USA at the World Junior A Challenge earlier this month. He's a guy, when they took him in the first round, it was, okay, he's a long-term project. And the Blackhawks had some flexibility to do that when you get 3 first-round picks you didn't expect to have. I mean, he's tall, he's kind of thin, a little gangly right now, but he's got time to put some
6'4", 180.
Yeah, he's got some time to eat some beefs and
Have him hang out CHGO intern at CHGO next
There
summer.
you
We'll put
go.
20 pounds on him
Send
like
him.
that.
I'll bring him some meat sticks from Green Ridge Farm.
Green Ridge will
Sticks.
plump him up real
We'll
good.
have our guy Charlie hook him up.
Yeah, that's it.
We'll get him bulked up in no time.
Charlie, by the way, Charlie the bacon guy is buying the Shady Rays. He's buying all kind of CHGO
Love
merch.
it.
He's keeping us afloat, man.
He's our guy.
He's our
Got to
guy.
return the favor and purchase some cured meats from him.
Speaking of Shady Rays.
Bijan makes a good point, too. Don't forget about Wyatt Kaiser, who we haven't really mentioned yet.
again.
Wyatt Kaiser.
We've got there's an abundance of riches on the blue line in the Blackhawks' future, and if you want an abundance of riches on your face to protect you from the sun,
Nice.
Hey, now.
you can get yourself a couple of really awesome pairs of sunglasses for not a lot of money. How can you do that, you ask? Well, you need to go visit our friends at Shady Rays, who went out to try and changed the sunglasses market. They thought sunglasses were way too expensive, and they said, nope, we're not going to do that anymore. And they have changed the game, and you do not have to break the bank for quality sunglasses this winter because our friends at Shady Rays have you and your precious eyeballs covered. Shady Rays are premium polarized shades featuring world-class optical clarity, substantial durability, and styles catered to everyone and everybody's lifestyle. The best part about Shady Rays, they have the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. If you lose or break your shades on day one, they told us that they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. Did you drop them down one of the open sewers on Racine? Oof. Did you lose them trying to do a Michigan goal against Czechia? Well, it doesn't matter how you lose them or break them. If you do it on day one, they will replace them. And even with that strong of an protection program, they still manage to make quality. I could tell you from being a customer of theirs for a couple of years that they are just as good, if not better, than any of the expensive pairs on the market. Shady Rays also does something very cool. They will donate 10 meals to fight hunger in America with every order placed and have donated over 20 million meals to date. They stand behind their product, and they have told our team that if anyone has a problem, they will throw profit right out the giant test window at the Shady Rays factory and do whatever it takes to get it right. Free returns and exchanges. You either love the shades or Shady Rays will pay to ship them back. That's it. And because they love CHGO listeners almost as much as we do, they are offering you their deepest deal of the season. Use the promo code CHGO for 50% off 2 or more pairs at shadyrays.com. That's buy one, get one free. You can get 2 pairs of sunglasses for as low as $54. Be like our guy, Charlie the Bacon Guy, and redeem at shadyrays.com, where you can find all their newest and best shades.
Came in handy driving yesterday with the glare of the melting snow and the sun. Woo.
I just love seeing the sunshine. I love that it's not negative 35 degrees wind chill.
Winter is so much more tolerable when the sun's out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the guns are out.
And the buns are out.
Yeah. Anyway, hockey fans, be sure to light the lamp this winter with our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the National Hockey League. New customers can bet just $5 pregame money line on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. If that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Our plus 10,000 bet fell through last night. Who could have imagined that the Hawks wouldn't have done a million things to get that one? But hey, throw a buck down, can buy multiple bets.
Good to be true.
Like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot at an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the promo code CHGO. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do, only at DraftKings Sportsbook with the code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes for details.
I need to know. I think the Blues suck, but obviously
They do.
They do play hockey probably a little better than the Blackhawks this year. Am I riding the first to score?
Yes.
And
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow.
Absolutely.
If you ride that bet the rest of the year, every game you're going to finish way ahead.
I know. It's just
It's still hitting at 80. It's
game,
still hitting
yeah.
at over 80% for the season.
Yeah,
So
Columbus is coming up again, right? Aren't we
New Year's
playing
Eve.
them?
Columbus,
Yeah.
you maybe.
it
You
a
can
red-
pause it that night.
Is
if
it a
you want.
revenge game though? Can I take
Or if
it?
you
it's
wanna
on the
feel-
road. So
If you want to feel better about yourself and say, hey, I put some money on the Hawks for one, maybe it's the Columbus game.
Yeah.
But, I think you roll the first goal and the winner
Yeah.
against the Hawks every game. Every game.
Yeah,
And
last
gonna
You're gonna win
First
80% of the
period
time.
money line as well is a good one.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Because it feels like not only are they down 1-0 in every game, they're down 2-0 in every game.
Most games, yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how you do it. If you want to ease the pain of a
Yeah,
tough rebuild season,
Bet with your
just
brain,
bet
not
against
with
the
your
Hawks. Yep. I know it's
that is-
brutal to say, but it's true.
That's a lesson I had to learn early this
Yeah.
season because I was like, oh, Patrick Kane point and, Blackhawks to, cover the spread and stuff. And
I haven't learned that with the Bulls yet. I still keep thinking, this team, they could beat the
you're
Houston
still
Rockets.
seeing red.
Nope.
Sure.
Seeing red.
Yeah, you're going to be in the red if you do that.
Yeah, good call there.
That's bad,
good.
right? Being in the
Yeah,
red is a
yeah.
bad
I
one.
believe so. That's
Yeah,
why it's
and the
called
black
Black.
is good.
That's why it's called Black Friday.
That's-
you know that?
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Makes sense.
'Cause,
Good to know.
yeah, you get out of the red and into the black.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
the companies do. The customers
Companies do,
not.
Customers, it's the opposite. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, we're back. Speaking of the beloved St. Louis Blues, we're back after tomorrow night's game. Puck drop at 7, so 9:45, 10-ish. We should be on with your full Blackhawks Blues postgame. Before you sign off, make sure you smash that like button. We appreciate you being here with us on this Wednesday, and we will talk to you Thursday night after Hawks Blues on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.